Hip hop. What does that word mean? I mean, it could be a genre of music or a multi-billion-dollar pop culture industry. It could be drugs, violence, misogyny, ignorance, or maybe hip hop is people, community, creativity. Maybe hip hop is street wisdom. Is hip hop black culture? Is it youth culture? Is hip hop dead? Or is hip hop well and alive? Well, to me, this is hip hop. And this is hip hop. And this is hip hop. So my name is Taylor, and a lot of people know me as Rhythm. This is my crew, Swift Characters. And they're the people who introduced me to this dance, and now I get to introduce you. This is Junior. He's the first person who taught me what hip-hop was. He used to teach me and my little brothers way back in 2005. And this is Raz. Raz was my second mentor. And believe it or not, he's also my brother-in-law. He married my sister, Sarah. And Sarah's a huge reason that my crew exists because she opened the dance studio, Dance Fusion, where we all practiced and where we still practice. But it's not just Sarah and Raz, because my whole crew feels like family. Just something about practicing together in a circle, getting together and being ourselves, it really brought us close. And my crew taught me what hip-hop was, because my crew's bond is hip-hop, present tense. But where does hip-hop come from in the first place? Now, some say hip-hop is a deeper human spirit that has existed for a long time and can be seen in other cultures. But in today's world, hip-hop starts with poor Black and Latino kids growing up in the Bronx, New York City in the 1970s. When the Cross Bronx Expressway was built, it went right through people's homes. And so those who could afford to leave left the Bronx, and the businesses followed them. Those who remained were poor Black, Latino, and Jewish families. They were moved into tenement housing, and then landlords realized that they would make more money by burning those buildings to collect insurance money than collecting rent from tenants. And so the Bronx burned. Kids started forming gangs to protect themselves from kids in other gangs. And people would compare the Bronx to a war zone. The response from the political side was to cut funding for programs like education and even fire departments. And so the Bronx was left abandoned. Now the kids of the Bronx, they had a lot to navigate. Limitations of social space, psychological space, even physical space. But it's precisely from those limitations that kids drew their creativity. They started thinking on this really fundamental level, like without a space to dance, they had to judge whether any space could be a space to dance. Breaking was created in people's living rooms and on the streets. And then intaking social realities of neglect and abandonment, kids had to find a way to stand for who they were and to recognize the humanity in others. And so they developed creative practices that would later be known as the 4 elements of hip-hop: emceeing, DJing, graffiti writing, and of course, breaking. Embedded in these art forms was this kind of internal revolution that from this fundamental place, you could reimagine the stories of the world. You could take them and you could flip them to reveal something that was true underneath the whole time, but was just hidden. This was the story of hip-hop. It's the genius of the streets that could challenge what society was telling us and the stories we even tell about ourselves. Hip-hop was proof that in the face of adversity, people had something really important to say. Now, in the 1980s, everybody was loving this one element of hip-hop. People loved breakdancing. Everyone was breakdancing in the United States. But what most people don't know is that breakdancing was actually a term used to commodify our dance. It made it more palatable to a pop culture audience, but the real name was b-boying, b-girling, floor rocking. Breakdance was a fad under a different name, and it faded from public view just as fast as it showed up. But B-boys and B-girls had a lot more to say, and the dance continued to develop underground for decades to come. With our own networks and our own ways of communicating, there are B-boys in every corner of the world who embark on the same journey of hip-hop to critically understand your struggles from this fundamental place and embody your insights into the way that you move. The way we do this, we make our styles known through battles and through dance circles, which we call ciphers. In breaking, it's like the way we talk to each other. But how could you talk to each other through breakdance? You might wonder. Of course you can. I was talking to my friend Angel. He's actually one of the founders of my crew. He broke it down to me like this. He was saying, yo, Taylor, do you know those moments when you're in a battle or you're in a circle, right? And there's a B-boy in the middle of the floor, and he just does some move. Not like a big, flashy move, just some little move. But for some reason, it's the way he does it. You can't help but go, ooh. Did you notice, if you look around the room, there are other people also going, ooh, at the same moment? What does that mean? That means we all just felt the same thing. I bet you even the B-boy on the floor doing the move was feeling the reason why we all had to go, ooh, right? So it's a language. We all can understand the same thing. So what does that ooh moment mean? Where does it come from? Why is it significant to us? Well, I think the first thing to realize is that dance is a kind of body language. It's a way that when I move, the same way you could read my expression, you could see if I'm happy or sad, or if I'm thoughtful. You could relate to my expression. You can empathize with it. That's basically what's happening. When we get in the circle, we can empathize with the person in the middle. We can feel what they're feeling. And now each of us brings a different perspective to the dance. Like, we all have our own style. And for me, when I dance, when I'm flowing, my moves echo patterns from my mom's cooking and the way my dad would play guitar and how me and my brothers would argue and just all the love that I felt from home. It's my style. It's my flavor. And it's what I bring to the floor through my dance. So I bring my life to my dance, but I also bring my dance into my life. Dancing can be a way of meditating. It can be a way of taking your thoughts and experiences, and by moving, you integrate yourself with them. You become closer to them, and you have this quality of understanding that helps you navigate through life. I was trying to explain this to my mom, and this is the way that she could relate. She said, well, the physical element makes sense. It's kind of like when I'm knitting. You know, I'll be thinking about different things. I'll be thinking about different obstacles in my life, problems at work. I'll be thinking about problems at work or even bills I have to pay, and so I make a loop. And then as I pull it up, I'm already solving the problem in my mind. And I'm like, word, exactly. That's what it feels like. So the dance, the movement has this way of integrating you with your experience, and it can help you navigate obstacles. Like for me, this one time, I was having difficulty trusting certain important relationships in my life. And of course, dance was my way of understanding. It was my way of navigating. And at the time, I came up with this move. It's a transition. And what this move means to me, it means trust. The reason I know that is because there's a certain feeling I experience every time I do this move. Like even now, I can feel it. And that feeling is the same feeling when I think of the word trust that I experience. So it's the same. Even the way the move works, it is my body language, right? It's encoded into the way the move works. It's very careful and logical. I put my hand here, and then I guide my foot to the ground. I place my other hand behind me, and I jump over a space that I'm already touching. I do this on both sides, and I can start to understand the space behind my back that my eyes can't see. So my mental process is encoded into my movement, Let's think back to that ooh moment that Angel was talking about. In the circle, someone could relate to the move that I did. And so what is an ooh moment? An ooh moment is just like, it's a really good idea. It's an epiphany encoded into the way you dance. That trust move was an expression of my own mental thought patterns, right? And the main idea of it was encoded here. So when someone has a really important way of navigating around a certain obstacle in their life, mentally, you can feel it in the dance. We can transfer it into the dance. And so what's happening in the circle, at the heart of our dance, is a teaching mechanism. As we watch someone do a move, it makes us feel something because we're literally walking through someone else's thought patterns with them as they do the move. And when it comes from this place of love that you're guiding yourself towards, we can't help but look after each other because I'm guiding you through complexity the same way I guided myself. Now, this is what I think of when I hear the word hip hop. This is at the heart of the bond with my crew, and it's the kind of bond that I feel with other people in the scene too. And really, dance is just one expression. This is a love for oneself that is also a love for the other in the very same movement, a fundamental kind of love, a faith that there is something true within yourself and within others. And the dedication to articulate that with creativity is an act of humanity that can reach out and it can poke you right in the heart and remind you of who you really are. It's an act of humanity we could make happen in anything we create, whether it's music or it's cooking or the way we relate to each other. Who knows, maybe even in big political decisions like building a highway through people's homes. We need to come from this fundamental place and this fundamental love in all the things that we create with each other. So it does go beyond hip hop. But there still is something special here. I mean, how often do we really get in a dance circle and just do our thing and see where that goes? To us B-boys and B-girls, it's political, it's social, and it's spiritual. And it makes me wonder, what really is this thing that we call hip-hop? And right now, I'd love to introduce my crew to the floor. Swift characters, B-Boy Junior and B-Boy Free Rock. This is my dad's song.